What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. The U.S. is now facing a mass layoff problem with hundreds of thousands of people being laid off here in 2026. This is going to present a new problem for the economy. And we just had a new ruling on Trump's tariffs. And President Donald Trump, well, I'll let you know what he says because a lot of people are concerned about it. So let me give you all the details here as we are live right here on the It's Jimmy Show on YouTube. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Type yes in the chat. And let me know where you're tuning in from, your city, state, or even your country. Don't forget to hit the like button for me. And if you haven't yet, subscribe down below and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future videos. Okay, first up, layoffs in January were the highest to start a year in 17 years since 2009. U.S. employers announced over 100,000 layoffs for the month, 108,435, up 118% from the same period a year ago, which was January of 2025, which is right when President Donald Trump took office, and 205% up from December of 2025. The total marked the highest for any January since 2009, going all the way back to the housing financial crash. At the same time, companies announced only 5,300 new hires, also the lowest since January 2009. Wow. New job openings fell sharply in December to 6.5 million, their lowest since September of 2020 during the pandemic. Available jobs are now down by more than 900,000 just since October. And this goes with the video I just did yesterday about the housing crisis and how foreclosures have a sharp rise as well and what needs to be done to make housing affordable for Americans. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump just had his Canadian tariffs reversed, at least by a vote in the House of Representatives, which, well, Trump is threatening consequences after 6 House Republicans voted to reverse his Canadian tariffs. The House passed a bill aimed at reversing President Donald Trump's Canadian tariffs, which is just one of the tariffs. And U.S. businesses and consumers have been found to pay 90% of the tariff costs, according to new research by the New York Fed and Columbia University. And President Donald Trump is threatening to back the election challengers against the 6 House Republicans who actually voted with Democrats to try to reverse his tariffs on Canada, saying, quote, any Republican in the House or the Senate that votes against tariffs will seriously suffer the consequences come election time, and that includes primaries. Trump says, quote, in addition, tariffs have given us great national security because the mere mention of the word has countries agreeing to our strongest wishes. He says tariffs have given us economic and national security, and no Republican should be responsible for destroying this privilege. However, if fully passed and the bill goes to President Donald Trump's desk, he'll likely just veto it, sending it back to the House and the Senate, where there's probably not enough votes to actually overturn the tariffs. However, the Supreme Court is going to have a decision potentially striking down the tariffs, which President Donald Trump and the tariff collections that came in January soared more than 300%, collecting some $30 billion in custom duties in just January. And this puts the year-to-date tally at $124 billion, up 304% from the same period in 2025. This has helped lower the budget deficit that continues. The shortfall in January totaled still roughly $95 billion, but that was down 26% from a year ago. But as you can see here, the U.S. national debt is quickly rising to almost $39 trillion. So the problem here is that prices are going up for Americans and the national debt still keeps going up as well. And we are at 124% of U.S. debt to GDP ratio, which means we have more debt than our GDP. And yeah, that's a problem. And this is the highest it's ever been. In 1960, it was only 53%. In 1980, it was only 34%. And even in 2000, during, right after the new year, was 59%. We're now at 124%. Now, President Donald Trump says that he will, quote, figure something out if tariffs are struck down by the Supreme Court ruling that could come as early as next week, which means he might just implement tariffs in another way, even if they're struck down by a Republican Supreme Court. Now, President Donald Trump wants to use this tariff money for a couple of different things he's mentioned, including to fund a $2,000 tariff dividend checks for low and middle income Americans. He says that this will happen in 2026. President Donald Trump also proposed using revenue from the increased tariffs to reduce or potentially eliminate federal income taxes, specifically aiming to offer relief to taxpayers and lower the national debt. He said that this could generate trillions. So the question here is, if President Donald Trump does come through with a $2,000 tariff refund check to low and middle income Americans, are you okay with it? Does this more than offset the tariffs and the new recent research that says that 90% of the tariffs are being paid by Americans? Or would you rather just have the tariffs completely thrown out, which President Donald Trump is just hell-bent on keeping them no matter what, at least probably for 3 more years while he's there as the president? Now, we did see several different tax reductions through the One Big Beautiful Bill, which was passed by Republicans only in Congress through the reconciliation process with President Donald Trump's signatures: no tax on tip, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. Now, each of those are done in a specific way, but does reduce those taxes, including them renewing the Trump tax cuts, which brings down every single tax bracket to a lower tax bracket. The problem here is that the national debt keeps rising, almost $39 trillion. So, we need to find that fine line between people not wanting to pay extremely high taxes, because when you have federal income tax, state income tax, you have FICA taxes, and then you have property taxes, which are out of control, then you have sales tax. It just feels like the, Tea Party revolution, where we're being taxed more than people can even handle. And remember, we had a Tea Party revolution over a 2-cent tax on tea. So, this is the problem here, is that we're trying to battle too many taxes, but yet having not enough money for the American government to function and running a deficit, and yet people can't afford anything because prices and inflation are out of control. So, I will keep you up to date. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section. Make sure to share this video down below and subscribe and click the bell icon, and I will keep you up to date on what happens next. Click here to see a new bill that was just passed for Americans, or click here to see the new 2026 housing crisis, which is affecting Americans right